Okay, to talk what Mexico's new president has in store for her country's economy and more, we're joined by Rafael Bernal. He is a staff writer at The Hill, a top U.S. political website. Thanks very much for coming in. This is a big story, and it's getting a lot of attention for good reasons. Now, for international viewers, a bit about Claudia Sheinbaum. She is a Nobel-winning scientist, and among her mentors in politics, outgoing President Obrador, who was wildly popular. So clearly, she's smart, savvy, great politician, and has taken the reins in Mexico. So what do you expect from her right out of the gate?
Well, we expect continuity. It's always, Claudia Sheinbaum has always proven extremely loyal to López Obrador, her mentor, and the man who designed the political machinery that she's now supposed to run. So in many ways, there's no reason to expect anything different except a difference in style. As you said, Sheinbaum was part of a research team at the Berkeley National Lab in the United States that ended up winning a Nobel Prize. She's more savvy, she's more worldly, but ideologically she's incredibly aligned with López Obrador, with one exception, and that was the one difference that she made in her speech today, is she's more environmentally focused than he is. She announced a limit, I believe it was 1.8 million barrels a day, a limit in extraction for the country's nationalized oil monopoly. That was the only difference. Other than that, she spent the first 5 to 7 minutes of her own speech, of her own acceptance speech, praising López Obrador.
Okay, let's talk more about that speech, because obviously environmentally savvy, environmentally sensitive, and there's no secret that Mexico City is facing a huge water crisis. Where is this going to play in, and how quickly does she really need to attack this with some kind of measures?
Well, that's a question I don't think they have answers for. Nobody has answers for. Let's remember, she was mayor before going off to be a candidate for president, a successful candidate. Mexico City did not resolve its water issues. It almost reached a crisis point in June of this year when basically it was saved by the monsoon season.
Right.
But they were reaching day zero, and if the next rainy season does not arrive on time to sort of save the city at the last minute, nobody really knows what happens.
Okay, let's talk more about the speech, more about what she has to face in terms of Mexico's economic status. It depends heavily on the United States, with some $475 billion in exports going to its neighbor to the north. And of course, Mexicans who work in the United States annually send a ton of money back to family members in Mexico, something like $63 billion. So a good relationship with the United States is going to be important for her moving forward. So what is she facing? Because you're looking at two dramatically different worlds depending on who wins either Kamala Harris or Donald Trump in November.
That is key. The U.S. election is going to define Claudia Sheinbaum's presidency. I'm sure she wouldn't want it that way, but that will be the case. Mexico obviously needs to keep that trade with the United States. It's the biggest bilateral trade relationship on earth. The United States now needs Mexico. That's an advantage that Mexico didn't have a quarter century ago. She comes in with that. She said in her speech she will do everything she can to protect those remittances. She will do everything she can to also protect the substantial investments, foreign and domestic, that exist, because there is a lot of fear that she does not follow the same economic model as, basically global industry. She tried to calm those fears. And in 2026, it's not quite a renegotiation, but the books are being opened on the U.S. Mexico-Canada trade agreement, and that renegotiation is going to be key. She named Marcelo Ebrard as her Secretary of Economy. He'll be in charge of that renegotiation. He was foreign minister for López Obrador when that treaty was signed. So he's somebody with experience in that topic.
Yeah, continuity is going to be important. So that's the relationship with the U.S., but there are a lot of other important ties out there. Spain and, of course, China. Where do they stand, and how important do you think these are?
Well, the China-Mexico relationship might be a defining relationship of the next decade, because it really comes to the question of how much trade is the United States going to do with China, even if it doesn't want to, in a fully globalized in a network of trade deals. So that relationship will be important, and the way the United States reacts to Mexico's relationship with China will depend again on that U.S. election. Mexico will, in the regional arena, they won't give up their close relationship with Cuba. They will probably be closer to countries like Honduras that have been a bit uncomfortable for the United States lately. And that will be either a source of some friction or a lot of friction. And again, it goes back to that U.S. Presidential election, whether Mexico will be really at liberty to develop its third-party relationships.